Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. My special guest here is Oliver Gore. Yeah, very popular gentleman. Looks good. We're going to talk to Oliver a little bit, so he's my special guest. Every month I'm going to try to have somebody from the leadership team participate and do a little interview with them. And Oliver was the first volunteer. So every Tuesday morning I have a leadership meeting. I said, who wants to volunteer to be my special guest? And everybody was just kind of looking at each other. And Oliver's like, I'll do it. We're proud of you, Oliver. Good job. Yeah. Always like to start off with a little humor. Residents send me a lot. Thank you very much. Especially Cynthia Leach. Thank you for sending me what you do. Appreciate that. I also smile and laugh at it. So how come there aren't any circuses around now? Because all the clowns got into politics. If you see a beer in this picture, you may have a problem. How many of you saw a beer? Yeah, me too. So, just in time for our liquor license, yes. What do you want for supper? Savory beef, mouth-watering salmon, or luscious chicken? And the husband says, I'll have the mouth-watering salmon. And the wife says, I was talking to the cat. Been there. Have you been there? You ever been there? Yeah.
She was talking to the cat.
Sometimes I get that question. She might have been calling to ask me that. And I just don't want to make any more decisions. And so I'm just, whatever. Cereal's fine with me. Anybody ever feel like that? You just can't make the decision what's for dinner. I got my tax refund the other day. Now if I can just decide what vending machine to spend it at. I also feel like that's like the sign says, it's all theirs. Put it together. Theirs. Will I complete my bucket list? Not yours, but somebody's. And there's a picture of Kentucky Fried Chicken bucket right there. That is like, fried chicken is like, not to offend anybody. That's like, I've never been addicted to drugs, but if chicken was a drug, then I would be a drug addict because I love fried chicken. It's my favorite, and I get it like twice a year. Yeah. My wife makes great fried chicken, but I get it on my birthday and our anniversary. So COVID-19 and our numbers, currently we don't have any resident cases, at least when I was putting this presentation together yesterday. We have one case amongst our associates, so that's good. Numbers are down, light symptoms of course. There are other sicknesses around, however. Please wash and sanitize your hands often and practice good hygiene. And don't lick doorknobs or touch buttons on the elevator and then lick your fingers or something like that. Try to be mindful. COVID precautions for us are basically the same. Nothing's changed. There is no limit to visitors for breakfast, lunch, or dinner now. Just to make sure you all know that. It's been like that for a while. There is no limit on visitation to health center. But you must wear a mask, even you kind residents, and I have to wear a mask when I go into assisted living or the healthcare center too. And we all need to make sure that we sign into the AccuShield system at each level of care. Questions and answers. What is going on with the internet in the Preston, and who must we hang? No, I'm just kidding. Will we get internet in our apartments? So the problem has been that the signal keeps going down. Inspire Wi-Fi is responsible for it. I've told them their service is anything but inspiring. And they have promised me that they will fix it and keep it fixed. What's happening lately is they've told me that there's new equipment that we put in for the Carlisle that's causing the old equipment to go offline. They're supposed to be replacing it. I keep yelling at them to get it replaced right now, and they keep telling me, please don't kick us out, we're gonna get this fixed. They're going to be on site this week and next week, trying to dive into the problem, figure it out. Danny's trying to, every time it goes down, Danny's informed, Danny gets it back online with their help. remotely. They are monitoring it remotely. And all I have to say is I'm sorry. I really don't have an answer. I saw the writing on the wall a few months ago, and so did my leadership team, and that we started the process of having Spectrum Wi-Fi installed into the building, and they have been installing it, but they're not finished yet. And they can't bring the system online until it is finished. Once that is in the building, then we will have two Wi-Fi systems. One for the resident apartments, which will bleed Wi-Fi signal into the hall, or cover the hallways, which should be very robust. And then we'll have the common area Wi-Fi, which is provided by Inspire. And if they fail to repair this and they fail us further, we'll have to cancel their contract because they're violating their contract by not providing this service. And we'll find another provider. What is the timeline for the work in the Windsor? I think I talked about that last month. We hope to have the work completed on the first and third floors by mid-May. And it's our goal to move into the spaces in the Windsor by the end of May. I will tell you, just to confirm for you, that everyone is still having supply problems, right? Yeah. There's big logistical problems still. That's true. It's absolutely true. We ordered the new healthcare center furniture back in August of last year so that we would have it in time to move in at the end of April, early May. And we received multiple phone calls that some of the items haven't even made it on the water yet. So, and once they do, it takes 7 weeks for them to arrive here. So we're going to be opening our healthcare center with some of our new furniture and some of our old furniture. So, but it is real. Every time we order a control board or mechanical part, dishwashers, pumps, everything you can possibly imagine, glass, there's delays on everything right now. Please tell me how much Westminster is actually recycling. In 2022, Westminster recycled approximately 206,000 pounds, or 103 tons, which I think is really incredible. We're one of the few senior living communities that are identified as a zero waste site. And we have that designation because we recycle as much as we throw away. We recycle not only those recyclable materials, but we also recycle our food. It becomes compost. So we have compost trash cans that we take and dump scraps, whatever you don't eat on your plate, whatever we throw away as peelings or whatever, all goes into the compost. And that 206,000 pounds number doesn't include compost. It also doesn't include the dumpsters that we use for construction recycling. Everything, even sheetrock cabinets, whatever we pull out of here, typically goes into recycling dumpsters. When we built the Carlisle building and we renovated the healthcare center like we're doing now, all of the waste material went into recycling dumpsters. You may have seen 3 or 4 dumpsters sitting at the north end of the Windsor building. All of those are construction recycling dumpsters. So it's really a pretty impressive number. A question was also asked, but I didn't put it in here. They asked me about peanut butter jars. And and I kind of agree with this. If you think about the trouble a peanut butter jar is to rinse and to get the peanut butter out of it, you probably wasted as much electricity and hot water and soap as you would have saved the environment by recycling that peanut butter bottle or jar. So you may think about that. Just, it's common sense really. Whatever we can recycle, let's try to, but if it's a big effort in recycling, it probably doesn't make sense to try. What is the purpose of the big blue machine that is connected to the building by big hoses and sits in the traffic circle between the Windsor and the Carlisle building? It's a chiller for the Windsor. And it's a complicated story, but suffice it to say, the chiller in the Windsor that we repaired last month and removed the mobile chiller failed. and it failed about the time completely that we brought the mobile chiller in. So on Monday of last week, it started to fail. It was at 80% by Tuesday. Wednesday had it at 60%, and it failed about the time we got the new one hooked up. But that's a 440 horsepower chiller that should keep the Windsor quite cool for some time. We were going to have to bring in a mobile chiller anyway when we went to replace the Windsor chillers, which are scheduled for May. We ordered, you may remember I've talked about ordering new chillers for the Windsor building and also one for the Preston building, and those were ordered many months ago. And so they're scheduled to come in at the end of April, and we'll be installing those as quickly as they come in. But we would have to have a mobile chiller in place. So the timing should work out pretty well that we'll get that mobile chiller out about the time that we open the healthcare center entrance. Keep your fingers crossed for that, but that's the goal. Why doesn't our safety protocol require an announcement after every fire alarm? And the answer is it does. They're supposed to do that every time, even at 2 o'clock in the morning. And I understand that that did not occur. And the instance when it did not occur afterwards, that associate was addressed. And then we did training with the whole staff on how to handle that going forward. So you should see better responses going forward. Why don't we consistently report the status of building-wide operational issues? For example, we are consistently informed by an email each day that the mail has arrived. And my answer to that is we'll work on that. I agree. I think we should be using the resident portal and sending out those messages. And I talked to the team about that today. What is being done to eliminate the giant puddle of water on the basement level of the Windsor parking garage? We didn't want to alarm anyone, but we believe we're sinking. No, I'm kidding. So there's a set of sump pumps down there in that level of the Windsor garage, and they failed. And we put in temporary pumps, but it was still getting water on the floor. Those sump pumps have been replaced and the control boards that control them. And that temporary pump has been removed and the area is being cleaned up. But it's soapy water that's coming from our laundry, and the pumps died because of soap and calcium buildup. Which Austin water is really hard. It has a lot of calcium in it. In fact, I don't even think you need to drink milk or eat cheese. You've got enough water to suffice. But when will the little store start printing out receipts again? So my answer was, we have ordered a new printer. It hasn't arrived yet, but then I received a call. It arrived today and was working when I left my office, so it should be working today. What is being done to, that just happenstance. It wasn't because I was having a chat today. That might be the rumor next week. What is being done to correct the drainage on the driveway between the Preston and the Windsor? So it's very complicated, but basically what happened was there was a drain pipe that goes underneath the pool that area is supposed to vacate to. And it's supposed to connect to the Windsor drain in the courtyard. We had some problems with the pool, you may remember a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. When we had that problem with the pool, it was a recommendation from the pool supplier that we inject concrete into the area to support the pool so that we would stop the cracking and leaking that the pool was doing. Well, when that happened, it apparently caused a collapse of the storm drain for that area. And so we need to reroute that stormwater drain to another area. To do that, we need civil engineer to tell us where we can do that. So you may notice, I believe it's this week, maybe tomorrow, or Friday, there'll be a group out here scanning and trying to find the pipes in all of the areas around the Preston and Windsor for the next phase of work, and also for that correction. So that's it's a We have to create a solution with civil engineers. Once that solution's created, it has to be approved by the city. Once the city approves it, then we can start installation. So it's gonna take several months. I would not park there on a rainy day. Lots of questions still about the corkage fee. How much is it? So I put these questions back in. The resident that brings a bottle that contains any alcohol must be charged a corkage fee in the Laurel because we have a liquor license there. Will residents still be allowed to bring their own wine? Will there be a corkage fee applied? If so, what will be the charge? Yes, residents will be allowed, you may be able to answer these yourselves. Yes, residents will be allowed to bring their own wine to the bistro with no corkage fee. There will be a liquor license in both the Rowan and the Laurel. Residents will be able to bring their own, but a corkage fee of $1 will be charged in the restaurants. In time, we hope to offer an attractive selection of wine by the bottle or glass and beer in the Laurel dining room, and of course, reasonably priced. You may use your dining dollars for all of this. Does anyone pay the corkage fee or just the person bringing the bottle? The resident that brings a bottle that contains any alcohol must be charged the corkage fee. Just one fee for each bottle. Can one person bring the wine and another pay the corkage fee? Can you use dining dollars for the corkage fee? No, the fee must be charged to the provider of the wine or liquor. Yes, you can use dining dollars to cover the fee. If one brings the same bottle on several nights, I said this last time, you will never bring one bottle over several nights. The most I've seen any of you do is 2. Yes, you can. So, does one pay the corkage fee each time? The answer is yes, because we're still corking, right? And uncorking. Does it apply in the same way at lunch and dinner? Yes. In the Laurel and in the bistro? Yes, it will apply the same at lunch and dinner in the Laurel and Rowan. The bistro does not have a liquor license, so there is no corkage fee if you bring your own. There will be no offering of wine, beer, or mixed drinks in the bistro. And that is why your happy hour is now in the bistro, because it doesn't have a liquor license, right? So that was smart. Yeah, thank you. What if one brings a small container with non-alcoholic mixture in it, or for that matter, a commercial non-alcoholic drink? If you want to bring Kool-Aid, you can do that, and there will be no fee. You can bring pink lemonade, country time, whatever you want to do. It's all good, okay? When is the Rowan opening? April 4th. Just happens to be my birthday. It's a Tuesday. We like opening new restaurants on Tuesdays. The cocktail lounge will be open at 1 p.m. and dining at 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. This will be what we call a soft open, right? So we usually limit the seats to 50. Reservations are required. Call the reservation line starting April 4th. FYI, we may not have a liquor license for the restaurant yet. We're working on it. We have been working on it for a year and a half with a team of lawyers, and they've checked us all. I've had a criminal background check run on me for the last, I don't know, the rest of my life. The board and their spouses, we all checked out fine. So it's just a matter of time making through those city hoops, and then we'll get that. So I hope to get it. I'm leaning on them to try and get it to us in time, but we may not. If we don't, we'll probably offer a glass of wine for free with the dinner, okay? It'll probably be cheap wine. So on. When will the loud noise on fans on the 4th floor Preston be corrected? I believe they're talking about exhaust fans. So it was suggested last year that our exhaust fans were had reached their useful life. So we went through a process of replacing them. And some of those fans, they believe, needed to be upsized, increased, because of the capacity that we are and everything. So we did that. Unfortunately, it created some noise. So we've turned those off for the most part, and we're going through a process where we're balancing the system. Over the next couple weeks, there'll be gentlemen checking the balance of the system and adjusting those fans appropriately so that they won't make as much noise. But those are exhaust fans typically, and they're meant to remove about 10% of the air an hour, and then it gets replaced with new air from the air conditioning system. Just a reminder of what to do when the fire alarm sounds. Residents should shelter in place in their apartment home, but be alert and prepared for the potential of an evacuation. You will be notified by our staff or the fire department if you need to evacuate. Residents should refrain from calling the front desk. When the alarm's going off, we all know it. You don't have to tell us. There is no need to press your pendant or pull a fire pull station when the alarm is already sounding. Thank you. Public service announcement. I asked this at the executive committee the other day, and I was shocked. Was it yesterday? It was yesterday. Who knows what to do when there's a tornado warning for our area? 2 people. Okay. We're gonna have a tornado drill on April the 11th at 2 p.m. And so we're gonna announce that there's actually a tornado warning for our building and see if you all know what to do. And I'm gonna give you the answer to what you should do here. Warnings will be announced over the emergency call system and the business phone paging system. Residents should move to an interior corridor space away from windows and doors, closing your door behind you, right? So you should go to an interior hall, corridor space, away from exit doors, away from class and windows. Shelter in that location until an all clear is announced over the systems. There is no need to press your pendant or pull a fire pull station during this type of emergency, unless you are injured, okay? So try to keep that in mind. And so we'll do a tornado drill, and we'll go through and check on you all, and I hope everybody participates. It's great fun. It was a rowdy time the last time we did it. Yes, sir?
Chuck, about 2 years ago, we had a tornado warning, and we did these things. We went out into the hall, we took chairs with us, sat in the hall at an intersection.
Yeah.
And there were 2 caregivers sitting in the chairs there, and we asked them where their charges were, and they told us that they were on break.
Oh.
The caregivers were on breaks.
They're not my caregivers, right? They're private
No,
sitters?
no.
Okay. Go break someplace else, would be my answer to that. Yep. This is resident space. There's a break room for breaks.
But the residents were not evacuated.
Yeah, right. And they lost, well, yeah, that's kind of sad too. Yeah, I just got that part. What, were they working for an agency?
I don't know.
Oh. Well, point them out to me the next time you see them. Yeah, I'll look for them next time we do this drill. What is the difference between a tornado warning and watch? You all know what that is. A warning is issued when a hazardous weather event is occurring, imminent, or likely. A warning means weather conditions pose a threat to life or property. People in the path of the storm need to take protective action. A watch is used when the risk of hazardous weather event has increased significantly, but is not an occurrence, okay? An advisory is issued when the hazardous weather event is occurring imminent or likely. Advisories are less serious conditions than warnings, of course. And then outlook, everybody knows what that is. And it is kind of tornado season. And I live up around Gerald, so yeah. Yeah, Gerald's been wiped out a couple times and they just rebuild it. It's a little better each time. I want to talk to you a little bit about Westminster's Extraordinary Service Incentive Program. And this is a program, I've talked to you about it a few times in the past, but I really want you to understand it because I mentioned it in the food committee and there was some confusion, and I want to make sure that we're all on the same page. So, let's see how to start. Okay, so the last couple years since the pandemic, food and beverage, it's been difficult to recruit for food and beverage. Nobody wanted to be a server anymore, or a waiter or waitress. And we're not able to tip. So it's really kind of cumbersome for us, and we don't necessarily compete with restaurants because of that inability to tip. So I came up with a program with the help of my team and we call it the Hospitality Ambassador Program. It's Hospitality Ambassador Training Program. And basically, it's a new title for waitresses and servers, and they're really hospitality ambassadors. We created an incentive program that allows for a form of tipping, but it's not really driven by the residents because we can't allow you to tip because we accept federal funds here, right? Like Medicare, we accept Medicare, so you're really not allowed to do tipping in a Medicare facility. So you're able to, so the associates in the front of the house are able to achieve tier levels, and each tier level is associated with dollar amounts. And some of the tier levels are easy to achieve, but they're like, you know, wearing a uniform that's clean and looking professional with your name badge on, showing up for work on time, not missing any days of work, not being tardy, following the rules, parking where you're supposed to, things like that. Doing your side work. Did anybody ever wait tables here? I have. Everybody has side work when you wait tables, right? Refilling the sugar containers, the salt, peppers, things like that. So you do all your side work. And then your comment cards, those little cards that you fill out and you rank the service. We want everybody to be at 5-star service. We want you to feel an extraordinary impression when you receive our service, so 5-star. Based on your feedback, it's all tallied into a computer program. It's an Excel formula, and it's then the associates receive an incentive based on that scoring. And so the associates are eligible for this each pay period, so you can have a bad day and it doesn't ruin your life. It makes you ineligible maybe for that section during this pay period, but you're eligible for it the next pay period. The incentives are absolutely achievable. I used to wait tables, so I know. The service ratings achieved partially through cards that you fill out. So Westminster wants you to fill out those cards. And we want you to fill out those cards honestly. I know you really like people, and some people you maybe don't like. Me sometimes. I don't want you to lie and say, oh, Oliver's just a great guy, so I'm gonna give him 5 stars, if his service is not 5 stars, right? So be honest on those feedback cards. If it's 3 stars, it's 3 stars. If it's 5, great. What we want to do is we want to build everybody's skills up so that they can all achieve 5 stars. We want to pay out the incentive. And the incentive is worth $5 an hour for each of these associates. So it's pretty substantial. And we rolled it out here, and we're actually able to recruit. And you'll notice a lot of new faces in the food and beverage department. And part of that is because of this program, and it's really starting to work. I've had other people in the industry reach out and say, can I see your program? And I'm like, no. Number one, I want to make sure it's working for us first, right? Before we share it with anybody. But I think it is, and I think it's really helping the associates. And you know, there are some really good associates, good hospitality ambassadors that do a fantastic job, and they're achieving that. And there's some people that are struggling at times. And so we're coaching and mentoring those people what they need to do to reach that next level. Because the goal is to retain and engage all of our associates and to get them all to 5-level service, 5-star level service, okay? So it's not a punitive thing, it's an extra incentive on top of their typical salaries, okay? Any questions about that? Yes, sir.
Card you're showing up there on the screen, is that the one you're just talking about?
I believe so. I think that's the current one.
The long one, the star card?
That's a star card. That's something different. So a star card is meant to give to an associate, or you turn it in to reception, and that's to brag about somebody going above and beyond, right? They really took the extra effort and impressed you. They just did something that was just wow, you know? The comment cards are really more for everyday use.
But it also has something on there about food.
Yes, it does. Yeah, and if you have great food, say it on the card. If it's not, say that.
So it's for the server and the...
It is. We use it on the back of the house. Every comment card gets read. We kind of tally those up. and we really do pay attention to them. So fill out the comment cards. Any other questions? Updates, real quick. Sound system in Harrisville Hall is working. Installation of new AV equipment's done, but we still don't have screens that are dropping down. And with this screen, it's not dropping down, so I talked to them today. Signage for the exterior has been completed except for one sign you may notice by the Windsor that needs to be replaced. Interior signage project was rebid. They sent me the bid yesterday, and we did save $45,000 by having them sharpen their pencil. It was worth sharpening. So I'll sign off on it this week, and production will happen soon. Correction package is also being put together at this time that they are paying for. I think a lot of you know what those are. Windsor carpet replacement, I've talked about that last year. We're gonna begin that process of replacing the Windsor carpet with the Carlisle carpet, and that will start in the middle of April. And we're gonna start on the 5th floor and work our way down. Spectrum Wi-Fi installation, so the Preston wiring has been completed. We're waiting on switches and wireless access points to arrive. We're working on level 2 of the Windsor completion, and then the switches and WAPs for the Windsor. The keyless entry system is online. We are pending some common area doors, and it's partially online, right? Solar roof project, so we are pending a schedule to install some breakers, and then we will go live with the Windsor solar power, which is exciting. And then the Preston will be next, but we have to submit a drawing through the city to get it approved. And then they delivered equipment for the Carlisle installation, and that grid will start to be installed soon as well. Remodeled the Preston ground floor amenities. The gym has been completed, of course. Hidden treasures, I believe we've completed the cabinets and shelves. Is that correct? I think? Partially, almost then. And ground floor, woodworking shop is at 90%. I have some pictures to follow. Pottery studio, we're waiting on stools and a couple stationary spin tables. Yeah, stations are coming. The boiler project on the Windsor was approved, and the work is beginning for that. The Preston boiler project has been approved by the city. I am meeting with that gentleman in a few minutes, as soon as this is over. Windsor admin lobby, we talked about. Veterans Wall. Windsor chiller I talked about already. This is the theater. And it looks great, and you can use this for meetings and things. So if you are even you want to do poetry groups, or even a production, if you want to do a theater production or practice your stand-up comedy, you can do that. Hidden treasures room, starting to fill up a little bit. Woodworking shop, look at all that great equipment, and it's coming together. We are doing a grand opening celebration for Carlisle residents, city officials, and those involved in the project on Thursday, April the 27th at 2 p.m. in the Carlisle lobby. We'll have an open house event for residents on April 28th at 1 p.m. and we'll offer tours. We'll have some light hors d'oeuvres and maybe some free drinks, because we won't have a liquor license. No, I'm just kidding. We'll be positive, yes. Associate event is on May the 10th. We're gonna have a barbecue and then do tours of the Carlisle for the associates. Westminster Artist 2023. This is the inaugural edition of a beautiful art book containing works by 30 Westminster residents, similar to the Writer's Journal. Our residents are participating in this. It was produced by a project team consisting of Bill Schluss, Lori Humphreys, Boyd Taylor. Bill, with help of Sheldon Lloyd and Maria Cicerelli, did the photography for the book, which is very professionally done. It looks fantastic. The book will be going on sale in the little store on Thursday for $20. And I hope you will buy a copy and encourage your friends and neighbors to buy a copy. The proceeds from the sale of the art book will go to help produce the next art book. So they're going to put it aside in a fund, similar to what we did with the Writer's Journal. And we'll hold those funds, and then they'll create another art book for the residents, and it will just self-perpetuate. So I think it's a really great cause, and I can't wait to get my copy. Thank you all for doing that very much. I'm not gonna go over that. Star cards, I mentioned already. Oliver occasionally deserves a star card. He's gotten them before. I get one every once in a while. Yeah, it's good. But really they're for people that go above and beyond and really impress you. Okay? And now for Oliver. These are real.
Do questions?
Oh,
after this?
no, I wasn't gonna do any questions today.
Oh.
No, they look angry. Look at them. They're not smiling at all. Okay, all right,
Just
questions.
a couple questions.
5 questions.
And then Oliver can do his thing.
5 questions.
Well, we have a couple questions. I know all of you are anxious to hear all about corkage fees. So we have just a couple more questions about that. Thanks to Ken Ashworth, who summarized the questions for us.
This is a musical number, no.
Corkage fee. Who pays the corkage fee? Can't you see? We all pay the corkage fee. Don't play games. Somebody has to. We've got your name. Shouldn't it be you? No excuse. That's not cranberry juice. Don't you shout. Step up, pay that dollar. Even a screw top, unless it's soda pop. So why not just pay the fee? Corkage fee. Who pays the corkage fee? Can't you see? We all pay the corkage fee. Coffee mug, and what's in that Yeti jug? Apple juice. Don't take me for a goose. Don't be cheap. Dig down deep. Don't say you're not able. As a team, so pay up your fee. 'Cause Chuck sets the corkage fee.
It's really cheap now.
'Cause Chuck sets the corkage fee. It's just $1. 'Cause Chuck sets the corkage fee.
I like that so much we'll have to answer all the questions that way. As long as you're willing to do it. Are there any questions real quickly? Thank you very much. That was really cool. No? All right, you really do want to hear from Oliver.
Just one.
There's one?
He's not gonna be singing.
Okay.
I have a question for Oliver. With all these new buildings opening and lots of doors, do our fobs open them all? Because I walked out of one and couldn't get back in again. because
Yours
the
doesn't
door-
work.
Is that the answer?
So I can answer if you want to, okay, and you can follow, but, yes, residents are supposed to have access, to all the buildings, right? All the exterior doors you should have access to. What has happened is we've had to use two types of key fobs, and they don't always work well. And so we ordered, what do they call it, 4K? 4K fobs, and we just received 8,000 of them, so we should be good for a while. But it took us a while to get them in, and that'll be one fob for everybody. And once we start rolling those out, we'll start rolling those out, and we'll do a building at a time and a floor at a time. And so Oliver's not overwhelmed with it, but once we roll those out, it should be much easier for everybody to use those key fobs. They're really very sensitive, and you have to make sure that you're, holding it in the right way at the reader. But the intent is for you to have access to all the exterior doors. Yeah, yeah.
So last week I couldn't use my fob to get out of the memory unit after I was there doing music.
Maybe there's a reason.
It didn't. I need to stay.
They tell me that. It probably is the same problem, yes. And occasionally, yeah, well, that's good. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here today, right? You'd still be there. Occasionally, they'll act up, and we have to reprogram them, the key fobs themselves. And they lose, if you get near it with a magnet or anything, it can lose its programming, so you have to be really careful with them. But sometimes the doors have acted up, so we've had to reprogram the doors. Oliver's getting really good at that. And so, it's a learning experience though. And we've got a few gremlins in the new building, so, and we're working out. We're trying to chase out of that building, as quickly as we can. Anything else? All right. Oliver, I just wanted you to kind of introduce yourself and talk about how you started here and how long you've been here and kind of the positions that you've held throughout your tenure with Westminster. I know the story, but I'm not sure the residents do, so I thought that'd be very interesting for them.
Who's here been over 20 years?
Not me.
I've been here about 22, going to 23. I started in 2001, way back before Carlisle, before Windsor. This room that me and Jack sitting on, it was a mechanical room for the AC, for the whole healthcare. I started in the kitchen.
Go to what? Were you washing dishes?
Started dishwasher for a year, and then I moved to be a waiter in the dining room. I did that for about 18 months and a half. And then I moved to EVS housekeeping. I work at the healthcare. That's before Chuck. When the Chuck come in, I worked with Chuck in the healthcare as a housekeeping supervisor for about 2 years. Then I went to security. Then I worked security for about five to 6 years. While I was working as a security, I was going to school. When I finished my school, Chuck said, "Hey, I'm gonna need you to be an admin for maintenance." I was like, "Yeah, I like to move." So I went to maintenance as an admin, helping them with their invoices and stuff, and the work orders. After that, I have to decide to be fully maintenance, replacing lights and a lot of stuff in maintenance. After maintenance, I become a maintenance supervisor. So after that, that's when I got promoted to be the director of security and transportation. So it's been a long journey, but it's worth it.
And you've done a fantastic job in all of those positions. I mean, you are I've been here 15 years, a little over 15 years, and along the way, in every single position you've held, residents and associates come up to me and they compliment you, and I try to pass those on, and I hope you feel that there's a great appreciation for you.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
And another thing that I want to share, when I started working here, no English, zero. So most of my English, I learned it here with the residents.
So how did you come here? What brought you here to Westminster, and what was the journey like from where you're from to here? Can you talk about that a little bit?
It's hard.
It's okay. Take your time. It's a good story, though.
Sorry. I'm originally from South Sudan. Left my home when I was 16. I went through a lot. I came here as a refugee, and I've been through a lot of countries. When I come to Austin, I mean, when they asked me through UNHCR, United Nations High Commission of Refugees, something like that, after they accepted my my application, say where you want to go. We can take you to Australia or Canada or Europe, somewhere in Finland or United States. I choose United States. But where, I don't know to go. So one of the advisors said, well, there's a place in Texas called Austin. It would be good for you to go there. It's a small city, and you will grow along with that city. So I say, okay. The funny thing, when I come to Austin, I didn't know I'm still in America.
It's a little different here.
Yeah, not to be racist, but I arrived in the evening and then went to bed and then wake up in the morning, me and my family, my wife and the child. And then first thing, somebody knocked on my door. When I opened the door, somebody talking Spanish. And I never heard of that language before. And when I walked back in, my wife like, who's that? I said, I don't know, but I think we're still in transition. We're not in America yet. So that's how I got here. And
you came through refugee services, right?
refugee services. And then I was looking for a job, walking through downtown, no English. I went to a lot of hotels. When they interviewed me, no word I can say. And they're just like, sorry, we can't help you. And then I found this gentleman lady in downtown. She just like, are you okay? Are you from here? I said, no, I'm not from here. I'm from Africa. I was in Africa. And I think she's been traveling a lot. She's an older lady. She's like, hey, you looking for a job? I said, yes. And she said, well, there's a place I will take you to. You make it the job. And when I was talking to her, I was just like sign language, you know, I don't. And she just like get into the car. She brought me over here, fill out the application for me. There used to be a paper application. She filled it out for me. Then chef in the kitchen just called me like, hey, you want a job? I was like, yes. What can you do? And I couldn't even say dishwasher or anything. So I just used my hand like, and chef like, I think he just needs to work. And they just took me to the kitchen and I started working over there. But inside my heart, I know that wasn't my end. I would progress, I would be somewhere one day. Here I am.
And really, it's been your drive and your will to do better that has positioned you where you are today. That's okay, they're not missing much. I'm just saying that it's really Oliver's drive and will and his knowledge of the resources available and taking advantage of the resources that Westminster offered, tuition reimbursement and things that you all have helped him learn English and all of those things. And there's other people that work here that have the same stories, and they will. I get to have lunch with those folks that have been here a long time, the veterans, and we have a celebration every year, years of service celebration, and I get to have lunch with them, and I have lunch with all the new associates, like I do with the residents, and I hear these stories all the time, and Oliver is an incredible man, and he's done great for his family, and he's learned a lot, and he's growing in his new job. And I'm sure he'll be an executive director one day if that's good. So when you see Oliver around the community, just know that he has these decades of history here and has lived an incredible life, an incredible story, and we just want to tell you how much we appreciate you and keep up the good work. Thank you so much. I'm so glad you told that story. I know it's rough to tell, but it's a good story and it inspires people. Yeah, absolutely. So thank you. Is there anything else you want to tell while you have the microphone?
Not really much to say, but if anybody have any questions about security, I'll be happy to answer.
Questions about my microphone?
You got to look for Danny.
I know. All right, on that note, I think that's it. Everybody have a great rest of your day. Thanks for coming.